What's up, everybody? That's my car. Hi, what's up, everybody? It's your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for Family or Fiancé Season 10, Episode 5. This was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this one. I believe these two are going to be okay. The name of the couple was Olethea, I think I'm saying that right, and Terrence, but they call her Butter. They call her Butter, child. I feel like everybody got a Butter somewhere in their family or somewhere in a friend group. There's a Butter, but I think the name is pronounced Olethea. She has two boys. Her boys are teenagers. It doesn't sound like Terrence has any children, so it's just the two boys, and they met at an award ceremony. He is a chef and a nutritionist and a wellness coach, so he was winning an award, and she is a singer-songwriter, and she was up for an award, and so they met, and they felt a spark, and after an injury that Butter, okay, after an injury that she had, where she fell off stage, and she couldn't walk, she tore up all kind of stuff, child. Let me tell you, when you're getting older, you better tiptoe your ass around. You cannot afford to fall. I be telling people that all the time. Me and my homegirl, we go skating sometimes, and I be wearing the little the butt pad, like the you know how if you go bicycling, they got those cushiony shorts. I be wearing them. I'll wear a back brace, child. I can't afford to fall. All right, and when I go skating outside, I'm in the full armor of God. I can't afford to break a bone at this age. I'm sorry. I'll never recover from it. I will never be the same. So anyways, he ended up, they had started dating during that time that she fell. So they had already started dating, but they kind of fast tracked the relationship once she got hurt. He ended up moving in with her because he could help her out a lot more. Now he's around the kids. So everything, what started out slowly as a normal courting, dating situation turned into a very quick, progressive relationship. And there are issues at hand within the family that they need to address before they get married. So now let's talk about who all is coming. Okay, who's coming to the house? There's going to be on Olethea Butter's side, there is going to be her two sons, of course, and her mother. And then on Terrence's side, there's going to be his mother, his sister, and I believe that was his brother or a friend, one or the other, but I think it was his brother. So it's going to be them. Now that was the first sign that this was a real relationship. The fact that the family was actually coming and not a whole bunch of homegirls and godmoms and aunties, and it was the close family coming. And they really are, I don't know if I mentioned this, a very good looking couple. That's the first thing I said when I saw them on screen. I was like, they're very good looking, like both of them. Good looking couple, look good together. Not that that's going to save your relationship, but it's something I noticed. So to sum it up, because normally I go, child, I'm not about to be remembering all these folks' names and every opinion they had. That's normally how I do it. So, but this one is a little bit easier because everybody kind of had the same feelings on both sides. Well, not on both sides, but on each side, the group had the same feelings. So on Terrence's side, there was some concern about a lack of affection between the two of them, and not really sure how Olethea feels about him. Like, do you like him for real? Do you want to be with him for real? They didn't say that, but that's kind of the vibe I was getting. And do you like us for real? Do you want to be a part of our family? The sister mentioned that she was really excited about having a sister-in-law, only to meet her and not really be sure if she wanted to be a part of that family. So that is their main thing, because they seem to be very close as a family, or that's very important to them. So it's important that she feels bonded to them and wants to talk to them. So there's that. And then on the other end for her family, it's a little bit more, okay, so much of their thing is stuff in-house, all right? It's a lot of, because Terrence lives there now, and it's the adjustment in-house. They don't like the way that these two argue. They will go 2 and 3 days without speaking to each other. That's uncomfortable in the home, of course. Grandma, Olethea's mama, wants to make sure that her boys, her grandboys are okay with Terrence. I want to make sure he liked them. and they can get along, because right now they are not feeling seen or heard, on top of all the tension that's going on in the house. And I need to know if that is something that's going to be continuing. So that's how they feel on that side. Of course, they do the initial meetup with Dr. Tracy, talk to the families, and you guys know how it goes with the after the initial meetup. You're going to do the question game, and then you're going to do the cook together thing. So, of course, Terrence being a chef, he's going to do the cook together with her family and let them ask him questions, and then she is going to do a series of questions with his family. I feel like his side of the family's questions were very general, like very genuine concerns. Mostly, do you like us and do you like him? But more importantly, do you like us? Because they were all excited to meet her. They were all excited to spend time with her. And then whenever they did meet her, they felt like she was a little standoffish. And so it felt like she doesn't want to talk to us. She doesn't want to ask us any questions. She doesn't really want to be around us. She's not comfortable in this new family. And that was very important to them, especially the mom and the sister. And she ends up telling them that she went through a lot in her marriage, her last relationship in her marriage. Her last relationship was her marriage. But she went through a lot in that marriage, and a lot of issues, even with his family, and it seems like between the two of them. And so she just kind of can be very closed off and not really sure if a person's warming up to her or liking her. So a lot of the issues that they were having stems from her last relationship. And that is a common theme of this episode. That's why it's called, I think, Ghost of Relationship Past, because both of them have issues from a previous relationship that they are bringing into this relationship. I think his play out a little bit more with the kids, and hers plays out a little bit more with his family. So it's really not too much of an issue here, besides they just don't know her and weren't sure if she wanted to get to know them. Okay, so Terrence and the boys' conversation doesn't really go the same. Like, it doesn't go well. So Terrence, the boys, okay, let me see where I want to start. Terrence is bringing in a lot of problems from his previous relationships into the situation as well. But the difference is he is bringing it in, and it's affecting more so the children of the woman he wants to be with, versus Alethea's thing was kind of affecting her relationship with his family. There's not really any kids involved. So in this regard, he said that he was with a woman, helping her raise her child for upwards of 10 years. I believe he said 15 years. And the father came back into the picture, and it was like he didn't even exist. It's like it undid all of the things that he was heavily involved in, and it hurt him. Very valid, right? He doesn't say this in this conversation. He actually ends up saying it later. I'm just letting y'all know now so we can understand where Terrence is coming from as we talk about him. Now, when Terrence was first talking, I kind of had the squinty eye, like, what is wrong with this man? But when I found out more about him, I understood where he was coming from. I still don't agree with the way he was handling it, but I understood. So he's talking to the boys, and the boys are pretty much expressing to him that you're angry a lot of the times, you shut down, you don't talk to anybody, and then we have to spend days in our own home trying to make sure we don't upset you because you're already upset until you're ready to talk to everybody again. The youngest one seems to be the most affected. He says he feels like Terrence doesn't even like him. He feels like Terrence doesn't really want him around. He doesn't really know how to behave around him. He feels nervous around him. Like, he's just not really sure. And then the arguments that Terrence and the mom have, all of that is just making the boys uncomfortable. But specifically the youngest one, the grandma just wants to make sure that her grandkids are okay. So when he explains the situation about how he had children that he had raised before, and he just tries to not find himself in that situation again, they ask him, like, well, do you think you're ever going to be to the point where you do trust us? Because he said sometimes he just doesn't trust people. And he was like, no, I don't think that at this time I'm going to be at the point where I'm 100% with you all, because of what I've been through. The grandma says that means he's not going to be involved 100%, or he's not going to put forth 100% effort, which is not really what he said. He just said he wasn't going to be, I can see how she got that, but he just said he wasn't going to trust completely 100% because it has gotten him hurt in the past. Now, when one of the youngest boy says to him that, well, when Terrence says to the youngest boy that sometimes he goes in his room and he's quiet and he's angry, and Terrence just tries to kind of step back and not say anything, and the youngest is just like, oh, well, I just be feeling some type of way about this and that, and I don't really know who I can tell. Terrence got the nerve to tell him, you got to man up, you got to say something. And I'm just looking like pot meet a old ass kettle at that, because you're the adult in this situation and you're literally modeling the same behavior that you're telling him to man up about. You go off and brood in the basement and sit by yourself and don't say anything when you're upset with something that your fiance has done or even the boys have done. You don't open up your mouth. You just sit quietly, and you don't think the house feels that energy? You think everybody want to be sitting around, trying to have a good time while you're in the basement sulking, coming up there with all sour face? But you got the nerve to tell this young boy he needs to manage his emotions better and speak up about how he feels when you haven't done the same. It was wild to me, child. I was in the grocery store like, because I was watching it as I was grocery shopping. But yeah, this is very interesting that he can see the young boy having issues that he needs to speak up about. But when it comes to himself, this is just the way he operates and people need to accept it. And they're not really feeling it after this meeting. So, of course, they have to go meet with Dr. Tracy. And I was glad Dr. Tracy called out the fact that, hey, you're modeling the same behavior that you're telling the kids not to do. And he was just like looking shocked, like he didn't know that was the case. And I completely forgot to mention that when they were at dinner, Terrence's family is very aware of the things that he does. They was like, yeah, he'll be upset for days, so let alone, we talking hours, days. He'll be upset for days. So they are aware. And we find out after dinner from the young man that he feels like he's getting in the way of their happiness. He often feels like they just want him gone. And grandma wasn't having that. But at the dinner, we learn even more that Terrence has these behaviors that he's not really trying to fix. He just kind of shuts down, and everybody needs to be understanding of it. He doesn't understand why people, now he's using the A word. He's saying he's being attacked. He's saying he's being attacked. So I was glad when they got back with Dr. Tracy, she kind of called it like, nobody's really attacking you. Nobody's saying that, Alethea doesn't have her wrongs too. She definitely did. And she called him out. But Terrence was so busy being offended that he couldn't really hear what the doctor or his family or her family was saying, which is, we understand why you have these feelings, but you're not allowed to bring them into this relationship, because it's not just affecting her, it's affecting her children. And if you want to be a part of her life and a part of her children's life, then that's something that you're either going to have to figure out how you can leave it behind, or understand like that maybe you don't want to get too personal too fast. Because y'all listen, bridging these relationships together, bridging families together, especially when the kids are older, it is difficult. So maybe it won't happen like y'all gonna be super tight overnight, but you're at least not doing like aversive behavior by brooding in the basement because somebody has said something. My bad, y'all. My voiceover had cut off, but somebody has said something you don't like or agree to, right? So he's feeling attacked. He's telling Dr. Tracy he feels attacked. Everything is my fault. I feel like I'm the one being blamed. He was pissing me off with that. Like, that was irritating. Grow up. And I like when Alethea was talking about her son and how she had eventually learned that he felt like he was getting in their way. She was emotional about it. And she told Terrence, like, look, I know you might feel like you're being attacked and like it's all your fault, but part of being a parent is being able to hear what somebody has to say. I'm listening. I'm not taking it personal. And that is what it is. Like, that's really part of being an adult. And I can tell Terrence doesn't have any, I mean, he did raise a child, but I can tell he's not used to, shall I say, children who are growing into adults, because if you would understand that they have their opinions and you kind of just got to sit in it. That may not be the experience you were trying to give them, but it's the experience that they had. Y'all, I'm telling you, I used to be blue. Now, I ain't got no kids, but I've raised two, my siblings. And I used to be so tight at the stuff that they would say to me about how I felt about them or how they perceived I felt about them. The things that my mom would tell me, my sister was saying, like, oh, she said you don't like her. You like your brother better. I was just like, oh my gosh, I used to really be like through. But this was the experience that they were having with me, whether I agreed with it or not. That's how they saw it. And things are fine now, but that's how they saw it. And they were valid for feeling that way. And so that's something that you kind of have to sit in as a parent. And if you want to be in her life, you are going to be some type of parental figure to these boys. And in just my personal opinion, people with a lot of quirks and, certain particular type of ways emotionally, and if you holding on to a lot of stuff, you really ain't got no business having no children, and you don't got no business being in no children's life. You need to get that together. And my suggestion would be, if you have PTSD around some children that you raised, then you just don't have to deal with another woman who has children. That's your right. That's what you could have done, but you decided to deal with one. And so you have to deal with what that comes with. Point blank, period. I would say the same thing if it was a woman dealing with a man who had children. Same type of thing goes. So anyways, Dr. Tracy recommends that they speak with the counselor, which I think was a wonderful idea, because a lot of the issue, as I listen to everybody talk in their confessionals or in their private times, it seems like everybody's assuming how everybody feels and nobody's asking any questions. There's no communication going on. The kids assume Terrence don't like them, the youngest one anyway. I'm not sure about the other one. Terrence assumed that they don't like him and they don't want to talk to him and they don't want to be around him. The fiance assumed that the family wasn't really going to like her. She wasn't really sure. Everybody's just doing a bunch of assuming about how other people feel instead of going to them and either asking or just having a conversation. Now, the kids doing it is fine. They have to learn how to do these things, but you are the model for the behavior. So if you, as the mother and the stepfather, are running around not saying how you really feel and not having conversations for days at a time, what do you think these kids are about to do? So yes, I'm glad she sent them to a counselor. And let this be a lesson to you, some of you moms. Stop moving everybody up in your house. Like, give these kids some time, ask some questions. And I'm not saying that she didn't do that. She probably did ask. But a lot of times, your kids just want you to be happy. We'll say yes to anything. My mom got married. I was old. I might have been like 18, 17, 19, 20. I don't even remember. But I was older when my mom got married again. And at that time, you guys, I had a stepdad already. I was still, really hurt behind that divorce. I didn't see his family as much as I used to. I felt like those people just were out of my life. Not all of them, but it was hurtful. And I didn't really know how to tell anybody without sounding like a brat. So I kept it to myself, but I was irritated by the whole thing. And then my mom wanted me to warm up to this whole new group of people. And I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't going. I wanted her to be happy. I was okay with her getting married again. I was okay with her being in a new relationship. I wanted my mom to be happy. I just wanted her to leave me alone. All right. Don't make me do this again. Don't make me go through another marriage again, please. And so, of course, I've gotten over all of that. I'm fine now. And me and my stepdad are fine. But I just really needed time to just see if you were going to stick around, honestly. So even if she did have a conversation with the boys and they were like, okay, cool, he can move in, he's helping out, you say those things because you really just want your parent to be happy. But you, in your mind, could be thinking like, I ain't trying to get close to nobody because how long they going to be here? Right? And so it's like an ongoing conversation. It's a constant check-in to make sure that your kids are okay. Like, don't just assume that everything is good. But as far as the counseling session, it went really well. Like I said, they made a lot of assumptions about what was going on. I expect the kids to do that, but adults, stop it. So Terrence had made a lot of assumptions about the boys. The boys had made, specifically that youngest one, that's the one on the outside giving the hug. He thought that they wanted him out the way. That's not true. They want him there. They say that they love each other. He talks about situations where he had been bullied and he hadn't really told anybody. Terrence can relate to that because while he may not have been bullied, he was kind of put under pressure to get in the streets and do things. And he wasn't like that. He didn't want to be involved in those things. He didn't want to be accused of doing those things. So he could kind of relate in that regard. That is when he revealed to them that he did raise somebody, and he revealed what happened with that situation. So I think the boys were a lot more understanding of that. And that's when Terrence learned that he did have a form of PTSD that he himself needed to get counseling for. And so it was just nice for them both to acknowledge that we're bringing in baggage from our old relationships. It's affecting us. For Terrence to say he would like to get his own individual counseling, which I think he should, so that he can let his guard down with her as well as the kids, so they can be a family unit instead of it just being him and her kids, right? So I thought it went really well. I thought they came to a level of understanding, and it was great for them to all get it out, because then they could see each other a little bit better. So I thought it was great. In the end, everybody gives their blessing. I gave my blessing, and I knew everybody was, because there's good stuff here. I think the two of them are going to be all right. I think Terrence needs to do individual counseling, and they probably need to continue to do maybe counseling as a family and get that youngest boy in some as well. But I think they're going to be okay. There's a good relationship there, and this is probably one of the better family or fiancés I've seen in a while. Baby, not me just about to head out. Y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next one. Bye.